Hey everyone, welcome back to the special series where we take interviews of all the students who converted India's top B schools. I am Chaitanya from College Dunia, and today we are moving towards arguably the best IIM from Cap Rounds. I'm saying this on record, I should not. But from IIM Udaipur, we have Udit. Udit, welcome to the series, welcome to the show.
Yeah, hi Chaitanya. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So, Udit, we have this very pet question that we ask to everyone who comes on the show, and that is, could you please give us a brief profile before you entered IIM Udaipur?
Definitely. I'm Udit. I'm a GEM. Before coming to IIM Udaipur, I have been working with Wipro Limited. I have a work experience of approximately 34 months as a cybersecurity engineer. And yeah, so that's this was my second attempt of CAT, and after going through the interview process, I landed up at IIM Udaipur.
Right. Perfect. Udit, you mentioned that this was your second attempt, right? So, if you don't mind me asking, what was the CAT percentiles in both the attempts?
In my first attempt, I somewhere scored around 91 percentile.
Right.
And CAT 2020, and in CAT 2021, I managed to score 98.07 percentile.
Right. Udit, I really want to know that, first of all, 98.07 is a brilliant percentile, right? And there are, what were the colleges that you shortlisted for yourself for that percentile? And you thought that, okay, this will be my backup if something does not work, right? So what were the colleges that you kept as your backup?
So at 98.07 percentile, I didn't get a call from any of the old IIMs.
Okay.
But I was shortlisted for the CAP round. And since I only appeared for CAT, therefore, we have colleges such as IIM Rohtak,
Right.
IIM Amritsar, IIM Nagpur, and IIM Vizag. These colleges you have to apply for them separately.
Right.
Apart from the CAP round. Therefore, I appeared for all the interviews of these four colleges along with the CAP round. So, yeah, I managed to clear the CAP round and all these four colleges. So, yeah, these were my backup colleges, so to speak of.
So you didn't apply for all the non-IIMs, right? Like MDI and SPJ and some FMS or other colleges like that.
Right. So I was adamant of getting in the old IIMs. So while preparing, I made up my mind that if I'm not able to join any old IIM, then probably I can repeat another year. But after doing a cost-benefit analysis, and I realized that another year working in the same company, and I just wanted to move to a managerial position.
Right.
Therefore, I decided to just join whatever college I have got. This is not really something which I will advise others to do, because one needs to have a backup in their mind. It worked for me that I had to prepare for only one particular CAT examination. And for guys who are having a work experience, it is really difficult. It can be difficult at times to prepare for an examination for which around 2 lakh candidates sit for. And if you're not preparing seriously, then you can get it at times into a comfort zone, and you might not prepare well. So, yeah. This is what I wanted to convey.
Yeah. So, Udit, were you only looking for the IIM brand name, so to say, or there were other criteria as well, like placements, ROI, so to say?
Yeah. If I talk about my approach, I believe that placements are one of the topmost. I would place them in the topmost criteria, and return of investment would be second, because at the end of the day, you are investing 2 years of your time. There is that opportunity cost associated with your time, along with a huge amount of fees which you have to pay. So I believe that return on investment would be the second criteria, along with the third. Another criteria could be the faculty and the culture which is there in the campus. This would be the third criteria.
Right. So, Udit, I have this question in my mind that IIM Rohtak and IIM Udaipur are comparable in their placements as well as in their ROIs as well. So, why did you choose IIM Udaipur over IIM Rohtak?
Yeah. So, as per my percentile, I got the call from IIM Udaipur before I got the Rohtak, and in Rohtak there is a criteria that sometimes they give more preference to the female candidates to
Okay.
increase the intake. So because of the gender diversity, I was there in the wait list. So I thought that it would be better to just go with IIM Udaipur rather than staying in that wait list.
Right. Okay. Perfect. So, Udit, I know you have mentioned that, but my next question is why MBA? And I don't want a very structured answer, but for all our aspirants, how should someone tackle that question in an interview?
Yeah, for B school interviews, if you are trying to answer the question about why MBA, it would be really helpful that if you are somehow able to connect your past experience, be it academic or be it with your related to your work ex. So if you're if you're a person with some amount of work ex, so you can share some moment of realization or epiphany where you thought that maybe I can integrate. For example, I was working in a technology domain as a cybersecurity professional. So
Right.
during my stint, I was involved with working with different clients, and my exposure to those clients made me realize that I could perhaps amalgamate my technical skills with the management skills, which can perhaps give me a better head start into my career.
Right.
Therefore, I tried to decided to pursue an MBA.
Right. So, Udit, you have 34 months plus work ex, and your percentile was above 98, right? And wasn't IIM Shillong in your list because like there's a cutoff of IIM Shillong around 98, and you have a brilliant work experience also. So, what was the case with IIM Shillong for you?
Yeah. For this year, I believe that IIM Shillong had a really stringent criteria for shortlisting of gems.
Okay.
So I've known people with around 99.4 percentile who did not receive a call from IIM Shillong. So this was the case with me as well. I couldn't get interview shortlist from IIM Shillong.
Right. So there will be, I don't know on what criteria IIMs give calls. I'll never know it. I'll never understand it. But moving on. So you said you gave CAT twice, right? So when did you start preparing for the CAT exam? How much time did it take basically?
So during my first attempt, I did not prepare a lot. I only appeared. I had a preparation of around 3 months, and after that, I prepared for further 12 months. So the total journey of my preparation was 15 months. Yeah.
Right. So, Udit, in my introduction as well, I said that IIM Udaipur is arguably the best IIM from all the CAP IIMs, right? And it was established in around 2010 or 2011, right? So how was IIM Udaipur able to cope up and grow as an institute and started to offer such good placements and ROIs? How did it happen?
Yeah. So IIM Udaipur initially started, as you said rightly, in the year 2010 and 11. So initially the batch was there was a mixed batch where equal opportunities were given to both freshers as well people with work experience. But gradually, with the past 3 to 4 years, more emphasis has been given to the work experience of the candidates. So around 10% weightage is given to the candidates with high amount of work experience. So the current cohort is quite heavy in terms of work experience and more or less oriented towards freshers. Therefore, the companies which come here, for example, if you are in the consulting domain, companies specifically look for candidates with work experience.
Right.
And it is also true that in that case, the people having work experience are getting a higher package as compared to those of freshers. Therefore, I believe that IIM Udaipur has been able to attract more number of companies, especially consulting in the consulting domain, which has led to its sudden increase in the terms of placement numbers.
Right. So he said WorkX plays a major role in the placements, right? In improving the placements basically. And with time, we are also seeing that many institutes, including IIM Ahmedabad, is moving towards having a minimum criteria of certain amount of WorkX, right? So, what is your opinion that should WorkX be made mandatory for any kind of MBA or not?
I believe that it should not be made mandatory as such, because people with who are freshers, they bring in a new perspective because they are fresh out of the college. They are brimming with ideas, and I believe when you get the exposure of working with a vast amount of people, with a good mix of freshers along with people with a certain number of years of experience, this creates the culture for the college, where you have a diverse batch with diverse capabilities. Therefore, if only we allow freshers, or if we do not allow freshers to come into the batch, then that would be a sense of discrimination to them, and as well as it will hamper the culture of the college as well.
Right. So, Udit, what kind of opportunities can a fresher expect from IIM Udaipur, right? And how difficult it is for a fresher to reach IIM Udaipur?
Yeah, good question. If I talk about how difficult is it for a fresher to reach IIM Udaipur, I believe that if you are a GEM fresher, then it would be difficult in comparison to the people with having work experience, because you will certainly have to score a higher percentile, and that would be required. Otherwise, if you look at people who are from diverse backgrounds, for example, hospitality, or in maybe some biomedical engineering, they get the point for the academic diversity. So for them, for such kind of freshers, it is not really that difficult. And yeah, so this is about the difficulty. And your second question was related to placements, right?
So yeah, how tough it is for freshers to grab placements, good placements, or maybe better placements than the WorkX individuals.
So it depends on the company to company. For example, as I talked about earlier, that people in the consulting domain really look for students with work experience. So it can be difficult for freshers to get into those companies. But we have a good mix of companies which comes to the campus. So in the sales and marketing domain specifically, they look for people who are fresh out of the college.
Right.
So yeah, there are fair and ample amount of chances for a fresher in terms of placement opportunities.
Right, perfect. And Udit, what is the ideal percentile range that you have observed in your time at IIM Udaipur?
For the highest percentile, we have a student with 99.91 percentile.
Okay.
And in terms of lowest percentile, I believe, because we have that, if you want in terms of general, I believe it is somewhere around 988 percentile for a girl candidate who is from a non-engineering background.
Okay, perfect. So Udit, you just said that IIM Rohtak has been very adamant in involving female candidates more, right? So I want to know what is the gender diversity at IIM Udaipur, and what is the background diversity at IIM Udaipur, like how many engineers are there and something like that.
Yeah. So in terms of gender diversity, we have somewhere around 65% of male candidates, along with 35% of female candidates. Talking about in terms of academic diversity, it is fairly heavy in terms of engineers. So we have around 70% engineers, and the rest 30 is from various other backgrounds, such as architecture, biotechnology, hospitality, and other backgrounds.
Right, perfect. And what is the current batch size at IIM Udaipur?
Yeah, the current batch size is somewhere around 335.
335. Yeah, that's a fair big batch size, right? So Udit, my next question is, what kind of companies does IIM visit IIM Udaipur, and how tough is it to place 300 plus students, a batch of 300 plus students, right?
Yeah. So the kind of companies which comes to the campus, there is a good mix of companies from be it from any domain. To name a few, it would be BFSI, consulting. In the finance, I've already named BFSI, sales and marketing. So there is a good mix of companies which comes, and in terms of placements, it is we have a very hard working placement committee which works closely with the placement office. So it is it can be at times challenging to place a wide such a huge number of students, but at the same time the institute ensures that equal attention is provided to each and every student who is in search of placements, and the numbers do reflect the same. We have been able to consistently get 100% placements for the since the inception of the institution. So yeah, that's what.
Yeah. So Udit, what is an ideal day like at IIM Udaipur?
Yeah, an ideal day would start with classes at 9, and it might get over in the afternoon, and then we have some assignments. People are involved in lots of clubs and committees. So the evening you spend time with your club mates, or and then there are various extracurricular activities in which one can participate to rejuvenate themselves after this such an hectic day. So it is a really varying, something unpredictable day with full of surprises and its share of challenges.
Right. So Udit, coming back to the CAT preparation, right? So what is that one most important thing that helped you crack the CAT exam with 98.07 percentile?
Yeah. So I believe the most important thing would be perseverance or consistency, because there will be days where you will not be in the mood to appear for mock examinations.
Right.
You won't feel like doing it, but what keeps you going is you need to have the clarity as to why you are doing it, what you are doing, and which certainly helps you to push yourselves and persevere through this such challenging days.
Right. So Udit, let's talk about the group discussion and VAT experience. So did you appear for any group discussions or VAT?
So I gave CAT in 2021, and it was the pandemic year.
Right.
So we did not have any kind of vote or group discussion during that phase.
Yeah. And any extemper that you appeared for?
Yeah. Extemper, there were a couple of institutes which were conducting. For example, IIM Amritsar had that, and IIM Rohtak had that. But fortunately or unfortunately, I did not get the panel who was asking extempore to the students.
Right. So when did you start preparing for your group discussions and PIs? Like after the CAT exam, after the CAT results were declared, or after the scores were released?
Yeah. So after the CAT examination, I took a week off because it was really hectic preparing for the examination for such a long duration of time. But yeah, after that, I basically, it was not, means I started at a slow pace, but eventually I carried it on. And once the scores were released, that I went on to prepare for it in a structured manner.
Yeah. So Udit, what kind of structure you followed, and what was your approach for the group discussion and PIs? So in the PIs, what the professors really check is about how interested you are in actually doing an MBA, because the scores have been released and now everybody is on the same pedestal. So what they are going to judge you is how effectively are you going to contribute to the class. So almost in every interview which I appeared, the professor asked which business news are you following currently, and they asked me the details about it. So yeah, I started following a particular business news. For example, in that particular time frame, production linked incentive scheme was launched, and I tried to read more about in the newspapers. And interviewers do ask, since I'm from Lucknow, so they can ask you about basic general information about the number of MPs from your constituency and things like that. So one needs to be really aware about the area or the geography from which they are coming. So this is how I started to prepare. Right, Udit. So let's just finally jump to the interview experience. So how was your interview experience? What kind of questions were asked? How many panelists were there? How long was it? Please tell us everything.
Yeah, sure. In almost all the interviews which I have appeared, there were a couple of panelists. Regarding the kinds of questions which were asked. So the first question in every interview is always why MBA?
Right.
And yeah, so they just wanted to make you at ease, and then from your introduction they pick up points. For example, in the IIM Nagpur interview, I told them that I am really passionate about cricket. So they asked me that why cricket only, why not basketball and any other sport. Then this discussion shifted on to IPL. So they just want to, they'll pick points from your introduction and then expand and try and build on to that to further ask you questions.
Right.
And they would certainly ask you questions from your work experience. And secondly, they asked me questions based on my academics. So since I'm from mechanical engineering backgrounds, they asked me a couple of questions regarding that. Yeah, and then they would ask, most of the questions were taken out from my introduction only.
Right. So to all the students, you have to prepare your introduction very well and be ready for all the questions coming your way based on your introduction. So I would suggest a better strategy would be, once you have written your introduction, just underline those words, those keywords on which the panelists can counter question you. So be ready, be prepared, and be very thorough with your preparation. And Udit, now we'll move towards the second round of our interview, which is basically a rate your campus round, and you'll rate your campus out of 10 based on certain criteria that I will ask. And it is like a rapid fire round, so we have to wind up in just 1 minute. And are you ready, Udit?
Yeah, I'm up for it.
Yeah, Udit, so rate your campus based on the location and how good your campus looks.
Based on the location, I would rate it 9 because we have a really beautiful campus.
Right.
At a really beautiful place.
Yeah, so rate your campus based on your campus life.
Campus life. Again, I would rate it 8.5.
Yeah, rate your campus based on your placements.
Placements. You asked me a challenging question. I believe I would rate it. Since it is performing really well in terms of the new IIMs, so I would rate it 9.5 out of 10.
Perfect. Rate your campus based on the peer-to-peer learning.
Peer-to-peer learning, I believe, yeah, we have a fairly good mix of students, so I can rate it at 9 out of 10.
Right. Rate your campus based on your ROI.
Return on investment, it is approximately 100%, so I would rate it 10 out of 10.
Perfect. Rate your campus based on the alumni network.
Alumni network, yeah, we have a fairly strong alumni network. Again, 9.5 out of 10.
Rate your campus based on the mess food.
Yeah, that's a tough question. I would rate it the lowest at 8 out of 10.
Perfect. And rate your campus based on the hostel life.
Yeah, the hostel life is really vibrant, so 9 out of 10.
Right. Rate your campus based on the class discussion as well as group assignment experience.
Class discussion and group assignment. So class discussion, I would rate it 9.5, and group assignment, I would say 9 out of 10.
Right. And finally, rate your campus based on the co-curricular and extracurricular opportunities.
Co-curricular and extracurricular, I would rate it 8.5 out of 10.
Perfect. So that was it, Udit, and I think you've performed fairly well. And before we wind up our interview, do you have any final words for all the CAT aspirants who are preparing for the CAT exam, as well as their group discussions and PIs? And the stage is all yours.
So my final words to all the upcoming CAT aspirants would be that be consistent, be confident, have faith in yourself. And at the same time, I would like to emphasize that you need to prepare for your group discussion and personal interviews while preparing simultaneously with the CAT, because it would be really difficult if you start preparing for the group discussion and personal interviews once the CAT results have been released, because that time everyone else starts preparing for that GD and PI. So to gain an extra edge and to have a fair bit of competitive advantage in the personal interviews, I would strongly recommend to just devote a certain amount of time for your preparation for the personal interviews.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Udit. And on that note, please prepare your interviews well before even start preparing, even before the CAT exam happens, and at least be thorough with the news. You can do a little bit, right? And to Udit, we thank you a lot. We know how hectic the schedule of IIM Udaipur can be, and we know how hectic the schedule in general of an MBA is. So Udit, thank you so much for doing this. And to all our students, we hope we were able to add some value to your preparation. And if you like the video, subscribe to the channel College Dunia MBA, share with your friends and spread knowledge. And Udit, thank you again.
Thank you, Chaitanya, for having me.